Holy Saturday represents for us profound grief. We have joined with Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane on Maundy Thursday, recognized his legacy in the breaking of bread and the sharing of foot washing with his disciples. We've then gathered at the foot of the cross, seeing what was the result of Jesus living and his crying out against the powers that be that oppressed people and did not look after those who were downtrodden. Now we have entered into the rest, but it is not a peaceful rest that we enter on Holy Saturday. It is a rest of waiting. On this day, we join with others around the world who are in that state themselves. Those who are in matters of profound grief, whether that be loss of a loved one that they are grieving for, whether that be a loss of lifestyle which was not their choice to lose. Perhaps it be a loss of freedom, especially in place of war and oppression and violence, which is perpetrated by persecutors. We gather with them in their profound grief. If we think on what was happening for Jesus' followers on this day, they who had loved him, followed him, and set their whole life, their hopes, their dreams, all on him, they mourn his loss today. They also mourn the loss of their own futures, which are now uncertain. How often do we make space for this profound grief to claim us? Certainly, I know myself that I often flee from it. But allowing our souls to sit in this space, that's okay. Because it is a space of recreation. We are uncomfortable with silence or pause because sometimes we worry that it represents nothingness. But under the surface, a lot is at work. Jesus was in death on this day, still at work. Although the words from the cross that he said often are remembered, saying it is finished. Jesus came to be with us in all aspects of what we experience as humans, including death and grief. So all those who had lived before Jesus was incarnate were resting in death with him too on this day. And they, like us, who now live after his incarnation, his temporal existence as a human, are raised on that third day. So that is why we need to grasp onto that when we are in these moments of profound grief or loss, because the finality of death, which we once lived with, the fear that it was the end, is no more. It has been destroyed. Now, death for us is a recreation story because it is a battleground that Jesus has won. The finality of death no longer bears fear for us. And therefore, what else is there to fear? The death of our loved ones, the death of ourselves, and even the death of our world are things which we could still fear. But fear sometimes paralyzes us, and we cannot allow that to happen. There is a difference between sitting in profound grief, knowing that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and turning away from that light and choosing not to move. So this is not the end. But we must bravely sit with what is now, knowing that that light, the light of the resurrection, the light of Jesus, is not really dead, but is alive and ready to draw us towards him in love. Amen.